This is the mixed meter study on page 24 by Garwood Whaley. Okay, let's talk through some of the things that are going on in this etude. The tempo indication says, with spirit, I'm taking this at 126. All right, so that's my tempo. There's lots of multimeter in this piece, obviously from the title. So you're going to have to work on keeping a constant eighth note and not playing the groupings of 3 as triplets, so it's not... It's 3 eighth notes, not eighth note triplets. In the first phrase, the biggest decision you have to make as the player is whether or not to do numerous doubles or not. I'm actually playing the entire first phrase up to the forte on the second line with only 1 double stroke in it. So notice that we have all of the notes are grouped together, not only beamed together, but also with slurs. So you want to try to indicate that in your playing by using a nice soft stroke, relaxed stroke, so that those notes will connect together. So we don't want it hard and beating. That'll be for a little bit later in the piece, right? We want things to be nice and lyrical. Right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So that F, G, A at the end of the first line, that's the only spot where I'm doing a double. I'm doing a double left there. And then that puts me on the left hand for the E flat on line 2. All right, so that's the only spot where I'm doing a double in that phrase. I'll play that beginning phrase one more time. Now we have this 16th note chromatic phrase. This phrase is a little bit confusing, so make sure you work on it slow. I'm doing a double at the very end of line 2 from the A flat to the F sharp. And then there's one other double later in the phrase that I'll get to in just a second. So starting from the E flat, nice and slow. All right, so there's the first 2 bars. Then we have a little Herta figure. It's a confusing little figure between F sharp, G, and A flat. So make sure you spend some time really looking at the order of the notes and the sticking that you want to use there. Left hand. And if you can, you should do that in the center of the keys. Then we have the first bar again. And then... and if you start this, if you start the 5/8 measure in the 4th line with your left hand, then you don't have to do any doubles. And notice that on the way down, you skip the E flat, so... And then you have D, E flat, E natural into the recap, right? So here's that 16th note phrase again. back into a recap. This basically repeats the first phrase except for the final note, so I'll keep everything the same as before. Now I'm doing a double right, C sharp, and now I come into the third section, or the fourth section of the piece. This is marked piano, and since it is rolls, I'm actually going to slow the tempo down a little bit so that I can keep the rolls smooth. I found at 126 it was tough to keep the rolls smooth, and so it's perfectly okay and musical to slow it down a little bit. Clean release on that E there. And then on the D, only hold it for a dotted quarter note. Don't hold it the entire bar. We do have notated rest there. Okay, so piano, lyrical, keep your rolls connected, especially the move from the A to the D. Then this will bring us into the next section of the piece. I'm going back up to a tempo. So for the rolls, I had a little polko meno moso. Now I'll come back up to a tempo for the forte eighth notes. Very staccato velocity strokes up and down off of the bar. Nice sharp tone without overplaying the bar. There is no need to do doubles anywhere in this phrase if you start with your right hand, as long as you bring out the beaming and the grouping of the notes. So here's that phrase. Then you have the F sharp and the E flat that'll bring you back to the first phrase. The tricky thing in this phrase is the 5/8 bars. Don't play them as 6/8 bars. They're not this. Right, there's only 1/8 note in there. Right, so make sure you work on the 5/8 measures versus the 6/8 measures and make that distinction. Then we have 2-bar recap. Not only going back to the lyrical stroke, but I'm also bringing the dynamic back down. Then we have a little return of the chromatic material. And again, doubling, since it's the first 2 bars of the previous phrase, from the phrase earlier in the piece, I'm doubling the A flat to the F sharp there. Then the first 2 bars again. And we're decrescendoing there, and then in the final bar, we have a 5/8 bar with staccato notes, and since we're diminuendoing down to pianissimo, I'm actually choosing to move closer to the node of the key so that I can get a little bit more staccato sound. So the final phrase there. Doubling the B to the C, so doubling the double left on the E, double B to C on the right hand, B with your left hand, and then you can play the final note with your right hand. And since that is an accent, even though it's at pianissimo, I am playing it in the center of the bar so that I get a nice little attack on it. So there's that final phrase one more time. Right, and that's the piece. I'll run through it one more time now.